Welcome to Discovering. Well folks, I'm all tagged out already. I got my buck on opening day of archery season. It's not much of a story and I did not get the hunt on camera, but I did manage to get a little bit of the recovery on film. We had this nice little 8-point show up on our property this fall. I went out on the evening of October 1st and sat in our ground blind with the crossbow, and right away I had a couple does and some fawns come into the bait. And those does, either they spotted me or they scented me right away and took off. I figured then that I was completely busted, but I did stick it out, and right at 7 p.m. I spotted this buck coming into my bait pile, and he didn't even seem to notice me. I followed him with the scope as soon as I saw him, and once he got close to the bait, he turned broadside immediately, giving me a perfect shot at about 20 yards. I only bought a single tag this season. I wasn't sure how much time I'd have to hunt, plus only really need one deer in the freezer. So I am thankful for this buck for that. If I do have time to get out during bow or rifle season, I'll just have to hunt with my camera instead. I have seen some nice photos of some really nice bucks harvested this past week, so congrats to those hunters. And good luck to all the rest of the hunters out there this archery season. So, on to tonight's show. We take a cruise through northern Baraga County on an ATV wilderness adventure.
And you'll see behind me there's a whole slew of ATVs. We do this annually.
And outdoor writer Richard P. Smith talks about the latest edition of his book, Understanding Michigan Black Bear.
It's the best and most comprehensive book ever written about Michigan black bears.
So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. The call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The best time to tour the UP by ATV is right now. Fall is prime time to ride, take in the splendor of changing colors, feel the crisp, cool air, or the lingering summer heat, depending on the day or hour, and all bug-free. I mean, there still might be a mosquito or two, but nothing compared to spring or summer. The Baraga County Chamber of Commerce took all this into account when it planned its ATV wilderness adventure for the last weekend of September.
We do this annually. This is the 5th annual time that we've done it. We started it during COVID so that we could be socially distanced and still do something outdoors.
Our purpose is to get people to come to Baraga County, get them to see what we have, enjoy the colors, although there's not a lot of colors yet.
The guided adventure ride takes folks through the backwoods and highlands of Arvon Township in eastern Baraga County, through a lot of timber company land and the Nature Conservancy land.
We visit 10 waterfalls, Mount Arvon, the highest point in Michigan, and everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. It's a day out, it's a full day ride.
The ride is about 8 hours altogether. We have an hour stop for lunch, but somewhere in that vicinity, depending on how long we linger at each waterfall.
There were 3 waves of about 80 ATVs that rode off into the woods this morning. A fast ride, a middle of the road ride, and slow ride. The slow ride group was for those who wanted a slower ride pace and a little more time to sightsee. I chose the slow ride group so I had time to take in the sights. I rode with chamber member Bert Mason, who led the slow group. Along for the ride are his daughter and son-in-law. People came from all over the Great Lakes region for this ride.
They're coming from all over. It's so interesting. We have a number of people that drove more than 500 miles to get here today. So southern Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois.
I'm Kevin Walker.
I'm Tammy Walker. Yep.
And we're from Muskegon.
Nice. And what are you doing here today?
This is our anniversary weekend, so we've been looking forward to it for quite a while.
Have you ever been here before?
No.
No?
No, the first time.
We love going out into the forest and side by side. We have a property up in Custer, Michigan, so about every other weekend we're up there hitting the forest and enjoying the trails.
Awesome. How'd you find out about it?
I actually found it out. I was looking on Facebook for something to do up here because I've never been up here and I've always wanted to. And I just found it on Facebook and signed up for it as soon as I found it.
I'm from 30 miles north of Green Bay, O'Connell Falls.
Oh, how'd you end up here today?
Friends invited us to come up and try some new trails. I've been up in Keweenaw and stuff like that too, and all great time. So.
Are you all having a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Where are you all from?
Adrian, Michigan.
Yeah.
All of you are from Adrian?
Yeah, Tecumseh.
We're from Elma.
From Alma?
Yes.
Upper Leatherby Falls.
My name's Doug Simmons. I'm from Schoolcraft, Michigan. My wife Jennifer's over there. Heard about this from a friend of a friend of a friend that asked me to go pick up some parts for him in southern Michigan and mail them to him. And when I did, I talked to a guy that had been on this ride, actually, from a little town not too far from us of Paw Paw. And so he told us all about it, and I got online and watched some videos and got a hold of the chamber, and they put me on their email list, actually, to let me know when the registration went live. And so I got an email from them, and we got on there, and 575 miles later, here we are.
What are you looking forward to seeing today?
Just all the sights. That's why we signed up for the slower group. We're typically, a middle of the road style rider, but we wanted the slower group just so we could slow down a little bit, see all the sights, all the waterfalls, the wildlife. These waterfalls, the first 2 are just incredible. It's just so cool. It's not something that people like us for the southern part of Michigan get to see. And so yeah, the waterfalls probably, and Mount Arvon. I want to tell a buddy of mine that I finally made it to the top because he hiked up to the top one time. So I'm going to take the easy way.
One of the most interesting stops to me was an old slate mine pit, one of the many that can be found in the forests of northern Baraga County.
There's a big slate mine. Well, this is a little slate mine. There's a big one in another area. They dug this out, 1890s, stacked it up. Slate Plume Falls is the next falls. It's like a gigantic slip and slide. So if any of you want to go slip and sliding, this is the time.
And in case you're wondering, no one took a water slide ride. Most of the trails on today's ride are open to the public, but there were a few private trails the Chamber gained access to.
Bert Mason, one of the Chamber board members, is the one that actually organized the route, and then together he and I secured the permission from the landowners so that we could use that route. So we're trying to maximize the number of waterfalls, the number of sites, and still be mindful of not having to backtrack too much.
A combination of trails. Some are logging trails, some are main roads. I say main roads, they're still dirt roads. There's a little bit of everything. So a little bit of rock climbing, a little bit of mud, a little bit of everything involved in this particular event. Arvon, we took what's called the back side at Mount Arvon. So it's quite a climb, and you climb over a big rock escarpment, and you end up right at Mount Arvon. You got a beautiful view of the Huron Bay, Point Abbey, Keweenaw Bay, and Keweenaw Peninsula from up there. And the colors were just starting to change. So we should have been full color, but we managed to see some color from up there.
And at the top of Mount Arvon was a pasty lunch.
Would you like a bite?
Oh, I'll grab my own. I'm not a ketchup person.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's a beautiful ride. Beautiful weather, but the sun is definitely hot.
The sun is hot.
Which is crazy for this time in September, but
It is. How's the pasties?
Amazing.
Who did the pasties?
Silver River Bakery in Lawrence.
The trails were pretty busy today. Around a corner of a narrow two-track, we ran into a traffic jam, another tour group of over a dozen Jeeps. Thankfully, we met them where there was an opening to pull off and squeeze a pile of ATVs in, and some did have to back down the trail. Apparently, this is a hot spot to go riding. Jeff Nelson was in the back of the pack, and I had him pick up my GoPro I had on the side of the trail to film us riding by. And you know what? He did a pretty good job getting me a bunch of extra footage too.
I'm having an awesome time. This is my highlight of the year, coming up from Florida to do the ride in Baraga County.
How long have you been doing the ride then?
This is my third year.
Oh, really?
First year I borrowed a friend's ORV, and I got so excited I bought an ORV, and I've been doing it the last 2 years. I even brought property up here. It's a beautiful place to get away from the heat of Florida in the summer and hurricane season. Yeah.
It was a full day of riding. We saw a lot of beautiful little waterfalls. The weather was perfect. The pasties were delicious. Bert was an excellent tour guide.
Why is it called $1 Million Bridge?
Because it cost $1 million to build it back here.
And as Bert said, there was a little bit of fall colors to be seen from the top of Mount Arvon.
The ride today.
So far. It was awesome, great day, all the way around. Good time.
What's the best part?
You know, seeing some of these waterfalls here that you wouldn't see unless you specifically came here and went on the trail afterwards to check them out, you know.
How far did you come?
We came all the way from south of Des Moines, Iowa,
Awesome.
to come up here and check it all out. So pretty neat all the way around. I appreciate the tour.
How was your driver?
It's awesome, very knowledgeable, got us around, and he kept the group together, so that was good.
After 5 years of the same route, the Chamber has plans to change it up for next year.
Our intention is to do this again next year with probably a new route or some difference in the route. It's an opportunity to come and see the beauty of Baraga County and be on a guided ride. The money goes to support the Baraga County Chamber of Commerce. So this is partially a fundraiser for us, but it's also a way for us to help support the local lodging establishments, the restaurants, gas stations. Everybody that comes ends up staying a couple nights perhaps. They have to stay, they have to eat, they have to buy fuel. So we're trying to support our local businesses as well.
Outdoor writer Richard P. Smith recently released the 3rd edition of his book, Understanding Michigan Black Bear. I sat down with Richard to talk about the book and what's new in this latest edition.
It's the best and most comprehensive book ever written about Michigan black bears. And I can say that confidently because it is a third edition. The first edition was published in 1995. The second edition, 1999, and we did a couple printings of that second edition and sold out of that. And the third edition, I made sure and added new material to make it the best book ever on black bears. And it's not just for hunters. It's for hikers, campers, fishermen, anyone who spends time in bear country or wants to learn about bears. Most of the chapters in the book are devoted to what has been learned about the biology and life history of black bears. An average black bear is like 120 to 175 pounds. They're much smaller than a lot of people realize. Of course, there's publicity about the biggest ones that are taken. The biggest on record for the UP is around 700 pounds live weight. I know about a 15-year-old girl that took one this year in Ontonagon County that had a dressed weight of 583 pounds. That bear would have had a live weight over 600. And those aren't unusual in the UP. There's chapters on bear attacks that have happened in Michigan, the number of people that have been killed by bears. I added a new chapter on bear attacks that I know about that have happened since the second edition was printed. There's information about how campers, hikers can avoid problems from bears. I don't know if you heard about it. There was 2 black bears trapped and moved from Grand Island this year. One of those bears stole 7 backpacks with food and ripped them apart to get at the food. Those packs were never recovered. That same bear, some campers used bear spray on that bear. It was acting aggressive toward them, and they sprayed it to try and get it away. With our increasing bear population in the UP and the Lower Peninsula as well, more of those problems are going to exist if we don't better manage the bear population. One of the new chapters is how many bears are there in Michigan? And the lead photo in that chapter says a lot. The DNR only estimates the number of bears that are at least a year old in their estimates. The mainstream media doesn't report that it's only bears that are a year older. Their estimates do not include cubs. The lead photo on the chapter of how many bears are there shows a female with 4 cubs. So clearly, without including cubs in their estimate, and cubs are bears too, they're big time underestimating the bear population. And those estimates only include bears in areas open to hunting. A lot of people don't know we have black bears that are any color other than black, but there is an increasing number of color-faced bears in the UP. In fact, a hunter in Ontonagon County bagged a color-faced bear this fall to add to the list of those. So they're slowly increasing in the Upper Peninsula. In that chapter on color-faced bears explains the reports I have accumulated over the years of the number of sightings and the number of them bagged by hunters. And one of the new chapters is also about bear predation on fawns. We know more today than we've known for a long time about the impact black bears have on fawns in the spring. The DNR estimated from their predator-prey study an average, a bear that's at least a year old kills an average of 3 to 5 fawns every year. And with an estimate of 11,000 bears for the UP, recent estimate for last fall, that's a year ago, that's 55,000 bears.
So whatever drove you to write the first edition?
Well, there was a bear referendum in 1996 to ban bear hunting with bait and dogs. That motivated me to write the first edition of Understanding Michigan Black Bear to help educate the public about the valuable role that bear hunting with bait and dogs plays in managing black bears. And one of the sections in this book discusses bear management in Michigan. It covers a history of bear hunting in the state where many years ago, bears had no protection. You could shoot them on a deer license. You didn't have to have a bear license for many years. Fortunately, that's changed, but that's all covered in the book in good, solid background information for hunters as well as anyone interested to learn about how bears are managed in the state.
You can find his latest book online at richardpsmith.com or at your local UP bookstore, gift shop, or sporting goods store. That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.